With that said, guys, let's jump over to their website now and open up a brand new interactive broker's account from scratch. The first step is going to be clicking the top link down below or visiting /IBKR, and that's going to bring you right over here to their website. From here, we're going to go into the top right corner and click on this red Open Account button. Now for starters, you're going to want to make sure you have individuals selected over here as opposed to institutions, and this gives us some basic information about what's going to be required here. They're going to ask for some personal and contact details, income and tax information, which is required to open up any financial account, trading experience and objectives to see what features would be a best fit for you, and then funding details as far as linking a bank account. So I'm going to go ahead and fill out this information over here on the right, and then we'll click on the blue Create Account button together. So once that's all filled out, we're going to click here on the Create Account button. Now on this screen here, it's going to ask you to choose an account type. There's going to be the option for individual, retirement, joint, or custodian. We're going to go with individual. That's going to be a standard taxable brokerage account. But if you want to check out these other account options later, you can go ahead and do that. And you can open multiple accounts with interactive brokers. They also offer different types of trust accounts, advisor accounts, business accounts, and even admin accounts. So tons of options available here. Next, you're going to scroll down here and choose your state of legal residence, and then we'll click on the Start Application button together. So after you click here on Start Application, it's going to bring us over to the next page, and we have to enter the legal name and then click on the blue Next button. From here, we're going to click on that button and enter the date of birth. And then once you click on Next, it's going to ask you for your residential address, and you're going to want to make sure this matches whatever is on your photo ID. Now, if your mailing address is different from your residential address, you can check this box, but if not, you're going to click here on the blue Next button. And then it's going to ask you for your primary citizenship information, so you can go ahead and enter those details, and then click on the Next button when you're all set. The next screen here is going to ask you for your mobile phone number, so you can add those details and click on Next, and then it's going to kick back a code and have you verify that phone number. On the next screen here, it's going to ask you some basic tax information like your marital status, number of dependents, tax residency, and of course your social security number. This is going to be required to have tax reporting filled out related to your trading activity, and it's going to be a required step for opening up almost any financial account today. Once you have that completed, we can click here on the blue Next button, and then it's going to ask you for your employment details. The question below that asks if you or anyone in your family is employed or registered with a broker-dealer, investment advisor, futures, commission, merchant, hedge fund, exchange, or other financial services firm. Most of the time that's going to be a no, but if that is the case, you would select yes, and then you're going to click on the Next button once again, and now you're going to fill out your employer details at this point. After clicking on the blue Next button, it's going to ask some required regulatory information. This basically asks if you or anyone you know has control of a publicly traded company. That's going to be a no, but you can check that out yourself and make a decision there. We're going to click here on Next. It's now going to ask you for your source of wealth, so you can check any boxes that apply here, and then click on the blue Next button. And then you have to choose between your account type. Now, this is going to be very important because with a cash account, you're only going to be able to invest money that you actually put into the account. That's actually what I would recommend here, because with a margin account, you're able to borrow against the value of your portfolio and receive additional buying power as a loan to invest more money. So if you had $1 in your account, you might be able to borrow an additional $1 and invest $2, but you would then pay interest on that amount borrowed. It can be very risky, and you could always upgrade your account later. So we're going to go with a cash account and click on the blue Next button. It's now going to ask you about your income and net worth, so you can fill out that information, and then we'll click on the blue Next button. And on the next page, it's going to ask you about your investment objectives. You can select all that apply here, and then we'll click here on Next. And at this point, you're going to choose what trading permissions you want to have access to. We're going to leave it as is by default because later on I'm going to show you how to change these settings. But if you have specific products that you want to add, you can click here on Show More Products and add additional trading products and things like that. But we're just going to leave it as is and click on the blue Next button. At this point, it's going to ask you about your trading experience for both stocks and options. So go ahead and fill this out. And then you're going to click on the blue next button once again. And at this point, you can choose your options trading level. Now, there's going to be more advanced types of options that you can trade as you go deeper through these levels. And you can click here to get an idea of what that's going to give you access to. We're just going to leave it as level 1 options trading and click on the blue next button. But if you plan on doing more advanced types of options trading, you can enable that here under the options level. At this point, you can choose between the service plan of IBKR Pro or IBKR Lite. We're just going to go with IBKR Lite because we're looking for the $0 commissions on US-based stocks and ETFs, and overall the attractive pricing on margin loans. We're not going to be using that anyway. And then competitive interest paid on idle cash. That's another perk here as well. So we're going to click here on the blue next button. And now it's going to ask you whether or not you want to earn money by lending out stocks that you own. We're just going to leave that as a no for the time being, but you can make a decision there yourself. And now we're going to have to fill out some security questions for account recovery. Once we have those security questions filled out, we're going to click on the blue next button once again. On the next screen, it says, how did you hear about us? So I'm just going to say Ryan Scribner, YouTube, and you can put the same thing in if you wish, and then we'll click here on next. And then it's going to have us verify the email address. At this point, it's going to have you review your application just to make sure that you've inputted everything correctly. You're going to see your account ID listed here as well. And then you can just scroll through all of this and make sure everything looks good. At the very bottom, if it does, we'll click here on the blue next button. And then there's going to be an IRS certification here where you're basically just saying, yes, this is my social. Am I subject to backup withholdings? Am I a US person? So go ahead and answer those the way you would like to. And then you're going to type in your name here at the bottom as your digital signature. And if that looks good, we'll click on the blue next button once again. At that point, there's going to be some agreements and disclosures. You can click on each one of these and read them, and then click on the box here that says you agree, and then we're going to scroll down and sign once again. And then you're just going to click here on the blue submit button at the very bottom, and then you're going to click on submit once again here. And just like that, we have submitted the application, and it says they're going to process the application and get back to us shortly. So we're going to want to keep an eye on our email now to see any updates surrounding this particular application. Alrighty guys, so within about 30 minutes of submitting the account application was approved. So we now have a fully opened Interactive Brokers account, and we are now here on the main dashboard here of their website. Now I'm going to be showing you a full tour of everything here shortly, but the very next thing I want to show you is going to be funding this account. So we're going to have to link a bank account and then initiate a transfer. At the very top here, we can see we have this option here that says fund your account where you can deposit funds. You can also transfer positions over if you want to transfer stocks from another brokerage account, but we're not going to cover that in this video. Instead, we're going to click here on the deposit funds button and start following these steps here. So on this screen, you can either deposit funds, withdraw funds, or transfer between Interactive Brokers accounts. We're going to select the deposit funds button, and then it gives us a couple options here for depositing funds. We can either link a new bank account, do a direct ACH transfer from your bank account, or a bank wire transfer. You can also fund your account with stable coins. There's also options for mailing a check and other options here too towards the bottom that are less common, but we're going to go with this top one here, which is going to be linking a new bank account. So we're going to click on this link a bank account button here. At this point, you have two options for linking your bank. You can either enter your banking information like your account and routing number manually, and this might take a little bit of time, or you have the option here for linking it via a bank login and using Plaid. So we're going to go with the bank login option here and click here on the right that says login at your bank, and then it's going to redirect us to Plaid. So we're going to click here on the connect account button, and then we're going to go ahead and click here on continue. From here, you're going to type in your bank if you don't see it listed, and then select it. And then you're going to click on this continue to login button here at the bottom, where it's then going to prompt you to enter your essentially login and password for that financial institution. At this point, it's going to show you a list of your different financial accounts if you have multiple with this bank, or if you just have one, it's going to auto select that bank account. And then we're going to click here on the black continue button at the bottom. It now confirms it's connecting this account to Interactive Brokers, and then we got the success notification. So we have now successfully connected our bank account account to Interactive Brokers using Plaid. So we're now going to click here on the continue button at the bottom. And then at this point, it says your banking account information needs to be confirmed. So what you're going to do is scroll down and type a signature and confirm your Interactive Brokers login one additional time. Once you've inputted that information, you can click here on the blue continue button, and then it is going to send one additional security code here as well. And then on this screen, it says success, your bank account has been confirmed. So we have successfully linked a bank account. And if you want to, you can link multiple different accounts to Interactive Brokers, but for this tutorial, we're just going to stick with the one account. Now we are going to do a transfer of funds now, but I want to show you how to do this from the main screen. That way you're aware of how to do it. So we're just going to click here on the portfolio button, and that's going to bring us back to the main section here where we were at from the beginning. And now we're going to move over to this tab here that says transfer and pay, and go ahead and click on that. And then it gives you the drop down here where you can transfer funds, positions, do a direct deposit, debit, or view saved information. You can also view transaction status and history, but we're going to click here on the transfer funds button. And then on this screen, we're going to select this button here that says deposit funds. And now we can see our linked bank account here. So we're going to go ahead and select that from the list. And then we're going to specify the amount, confirm details, and then it says the funds will arrive in 1 to 4 business days. So for this tutorial, we're just going to do a $50 deposit and type that in here where it says US dollars. And then it says transfer method, ACH. That's exactly what we're looking for. And the good news is the funds are going to be available today for investing. So even though the money doesn't transfer immediately, it appears that they give you the ability to invest that money right away. So that is a plus, but just make sure you maintain those funds in your bank account. That way you don't face a reversal, any account restrictions, or anything like that. And on this screen here, we just have to confirm the deposit. So if everything looks good, we can click here on the blue confirm deposit button. And it says your ACH deposit has been submitted. And as a courtesy, your deposit will be instantly credited to your account. Please allow a few minutes for the amount to appear in your account. So we will in fact be able to use that money right away. So we'll go ahead now and click back here on the portfolio screen to go back to where we were at the beginning. And in a short amount of time here, we should see that $50 balance reflected over here on the left, where we have information about the cash in the account and other details. Now, while we wait for that to come over, I want to talk about how to research investments using Interactive Brokers. And honestly, their platform has some of the best research tools available, and it's all going to be part of their free account. There's tons of services out there that you have to pay for that don't even offer as much information as them. So it's quite impressive how much they have available here just with their free account. But what we're going to do is click into the search bar here where you can type in the symbol. And we're going to take a look at NVIDIA just because it's one of the most popular stocks. So if we go ahead and type that in, we can now see a list of stocks here below that. And we're looking for NVIDIA Corp listed here on the NASDAQ. So we're going to go ahead and click on that. And then we can click here on stock to view the stock page. And this is going to bring us to the main stock profile page for NVIDIA. Now for starters, where you see this American flag icon, you can click on this to get more information. So we can see here that this is on the NASDAQ exchange. It's a US listed stock. The real-time price data is non-consolidated. Not entirely sure what that means, but to some people that's relevant information. There is a margin requirement if you're looking to invest on margin, and it's available for US overnight trading as well if you're looking to trade this after hours. But we're going to click on the X here and just take a look at some other information here on this stock chart. So for starters, by default, we can see a candlestick chart showing the price action here at the top. And it looks like we're viewing a 6-month view right now. And then the bars at the bottom representing the volume. But if you're just looking for a simpler chart, you can click here on this candlestick icon and just change it over to a basic line chart. And now we have a line chart here showing NVIDIA's performance. If we click on this again, you can see all of these other types of charts available. Solid candles, hollow candles, area charts, baseline columns, all kinds of stuff here, more than you're going to find in most investing platforms. But for now, we're going to go back to a candlestick chart here like we were at the very beginning. And now let's just go ahead and change the time horizon. So right now it's on a 6-month view, but if we want to change it over to 3 months, we can select that here. We can go ahead and look at a year, for example. So let's leave it on the 1-year chart and then go ahead and make some additional changes. If we click here on the squiggly F, it's going to bring up a list of all of the available technical indicators, and there is a massive list of technical indicators available. So depending on what you're looking for, you're likely going to find it here. We're just going to go with a moving average, for example. So by selecting that, it added this blue line here, which is a moving average. I think it's looking like a 9-day moving average. And if we click on the 3 dots here, I think we can change the number of days that this is representing here. Under settings, yeah, so under length it's currently 9, but if we make it like a 20 and click here on OK, now we're looking at a 20-day moving average at this point. So that's how you can add technical indicators and go ahead and customize your chart. We can also come back over here and turn these off and remove them if we want to. But that's the basics here of the charting. It's very advanced. You can also click here to full screen the chart and view everything on a much bigger view here, depending on what you're looking to do. So very advanced charting is available, but you can also revert to a basic line chart if you're looking for something on the simpler side as well. If we scroll down here, we can see information about NVIDIA. It's going to have a profile of the company as well as key statistics here at the bottom regarding price to earnings ratio, market cap, etc. But this is just the beginning of the data that they have available. If we go back to the top here, we can see over on the right hand side a couple of options. Directly to the right of that is going to be the options chain. So if you want to trade options surrounding NVIDIA, you would come over here. And as I'm sure you can gather by looking at this, this is a very advanced options trading platform. So if you're new to options, this might be rather intimidating. But if you're a more advanced or intermediate options trader, you're probably happy with what you see here in terms of all of these different tools available. We're not going to cover too much about options trading here. That's going to be the extent of it. So the next thing we're going to do is hop over here to the fundamentals. So over here in this fundamentals section, this is where you're going to be able to do the most research surrounding investments. And this is where they have most of the information available that's going to be useful for investors. So we can see here on the left a more detailed description, any information here about dividends. There's an ESG rating. We can also get Morningstar research here and see what the rating is as far as a fair value estimate. And you can click on these arrows here to get additional information about any of these items as well. We can see key ratios listed here compared to industry averages, different investment themes, and if you keep scrolling here, you'll just see more and more information available. We can see overall analyst ratings in terms of the consensus, as well as far as if it's a buy, sell, etc., and a price target based on all of that. And then over here on the right here, we can see company profile, and each of these individual sections you can break out into further detail. If we click here on financials, we can get very detailed financial information here related to their various statements, like the income statement, the balance sheet, and the cash flow statement. So if you're looking to conduct fundamental analysis, this is one of the best platforms out there to do that. The analyst ratings tab is going to give us more details about what analysts think about the stock, and we can see how many individual analysts are assigning ratings. We can also see ownership here, which is very interesting. It's going to show us who are the top owners of the company as far as institutional owners. And you can also take a look at insiders in the company and see what they are doing as far as buying or selling. So here under the trade log, we can see it's listing all trades right now. But if we click here on insiders, we can see what insiders are doing. So they're actually buying shares. So that can often be a good indicator of whether or not you might want to buy or sell, is just seeing what the corporate insiders are doing as far as buying versus selling the stock goes. Social sentiment is also a very interesting tab here. This is taking a look at social media posts. So right now this is showing the tweet sentiment versus tweet volume. So if you care about what people are saying about the stock on social media, there's actually ways to keep track of that here in that dashboard. And we can see what the social sentiment trend has been over different periods of time. So we're not going to go into too much more information here, but there is just so much available here to you inside of this Fundamentals Explorer. So if you are looking to do research on investments, this is honestly one of the best tools I have found out there for doing this type of investment research. But for now, we're going to click here back on the portfolio button. And if we scroll down, we can see that the $50 deposit has now come over to the account. So under the cash holdings here, we can see currency, US dollar as our base currency, and a $50 amount here. Now, the first thing I want to show you here is how to convert this currency. So if you're looking to convert it to one of the other roughly 29 supported currencies, you would click here on the three dots and then click on the convert button. And on this screen here, you can basically choose what currency you want to convert over to. So this is going to be the list here of all of the supported currencies. So if you're looking to convert this over to a euro, for example, you would type in the amount here you're looking to convert, like 50, for example. It's going to show you the conversion amount here at the bottom. So if you're looking to swap over your US dollars into a different currency or any other direction like that, that's how you would do a currency